Hi, Roger here. So we'll be talking about a pneumothorax day and the skill for it. And so basically what a pneumothorax is you're going to have a penetrating chest wound that's going to go through the chest wall and the pleural sac. And whenever the patient inhales, it's going to bring in air, and then exhaling won't allow any air to go out of the same way. And so causing this area right here on the pleural sac of the affected side not to be able to let the lung expand because of the pressure. So some signs and symptoms you're going to see in the patient is going to be some sharp chest pain, maybe some pulsus paradoxus, some absent lung sounds if you oscillate, and tracheal deviation. So the treatment for this person is going to be a needle decompression, either with a 14 gauge or a needle decompression kit. And so what you're going to be looking for is the midclavicular second intercostal space. And so right here we have the second intercostal cartilage right here. Intercostal space right here, and the midclavicular line. So you'll find the clavicle right here, then the first rib, the second rib, and now in between the second and third rib, you'll find the spot that you'll want to be, pressing your needle into. And so midclavicular right here, and then above the third rib and below the second rib in the second intercostal space. And we'll go over on a dummy now. All right, so this is the patient we'll be doing the skill on. And first thing you want to do is BSI and make sure the scene is safe. So this injury that might occur from either a gunshot or a stabbing, so you want to make sure dispatch has the scene staged if that is the case, and make sure it is safe for you and your partner to proceed. And the first thing you're going to want to do is obviously check for signs and symptoms. If it is a tension pneumothorax, you might see tracheal deviation, like I said, going to the unaffected side. You might have absent of pulse for a moment whenever he inhales from pulsus paradoxus. He might have complaints of chest pain that feels sharp, and whenever you oscillate, you might have absent lung sounds on the affected side. So in a case like this, you of course want to stop the inlet of air first, and so you'll want to apply a hand is the first thing to do to stop air from being taken in. And if once you have so, then apply a petroleum pad. And so a petroleum pad with this kind of injury, you are going to be doing the sort of one-way valve. And so you'll want to tape off 3 sides. And so once you have those 3 sides taken off, your patient may have a little bit of relief from pressure not building up in his intercostal space anymore. But if there still is, there might be need for a needle decompression. And so with a needle decompression, you'll either do with a needle decompression kit or a 16-14 gauge or something bigger than those types with an IV catheter. And so we'll be doing it with a needle decompression kit. So you'll feel for the clavicle, and then down to the first rib and the second rib. Now under the second rib and above the first rib, you'll feel a soft spot, and that's going to be the second intercostal space. So mid-clavicular of that area, you'll come and you'll take an alcohol prep pad. You'll then sanitize the area. Now there might be a seal, so you might want to twist or however you want to break it, but then take out your needle. And then for that spot, you'll want to insert it. Remember, second intercostal space, above the third rib, below the second rib, mid-clavicular. So once you insert, you want to insert until you feel some type of, you'll feel maybe a little pop, but then you'll see relief, maybe a little bit of blood, and mostly air coming out. You'll even hear it. And so at that point, you'll then remove the needle, dispose of the sharps, and then If you do have one, you'll want to put a kind of like a switch on it that goes on this catheter, making it to where you can either open or close the valve, making sure that the hole you just made doesn't let air in. So once you have that needle, you'll want to stabilize it, and just some tape will do. And just like whenever you do a intubation tube with tape, it's pretty much the same thing, or an IV. You're just wanting to stabilize, making sure it doesn't move up or down anymore, and it doesn't wiggle out. And so if you don't have a switch, like I don't, you'll then have to find some way to seal the hole, and whenever there's no more air coming out of the needle. And so then you'll transport, and then that'll be all.